What is up, everybody? Mikey there, Panzernator here, and let us celebrate Apocalypse and Cherryh for Stellaris is here for all of us to enjoy. Cherryh being the free update that redoes borders, FTL, ship designs, war, starports, starbases, all that. And of course, Apocalypse, which adds the Marauders, Titans, Colossi, and also ion cannons and some civics and ascension perks. So what I'm here to do today, what I'm doing here today, that sounded wrong, or that came out wrong. It didn't sound wrong. Whatever. Let's get back on track. What I'm here to tell you about today is to share with you 5 tips for adjusting to Apocalypse and Cherryh that will help you adjust from the old Stellaris set points. So without further ado, let's get started. So number 1 is don't expand too fast. I played 2 games. One that you're seeing right now is as Space Rome. That's the one I'm doing a Let's Play as, and it'll be running, you know, it's been going a couple episodes, and it'll continue going. And another one that I did for a stream as my homebrew favorite empire, not favorite, kind of like Rome a little bit better now, but the United Systems of Atlantis. Now, the USA one was the one I did first, and in that one, I literally built Starbases, which is the new way you claim systems, for those of you who are not aware. Instead of your boards blobbing out based on population and frontier outputs, you have to claim each star individually and build basically a frontier outpost that doesn't cost influence to maintain, but it costs influence to build. And one thing that you need to remember is, or one thing that I didn't realize at first, was tech and unity cost go tradition costs go up with each starbase you own. So it used to be based on planets and population. Now it's still based on planets, although I think it's to a lesser extent, and then on star bases. So if you expand too quickly, you won't be able to keep up tech-wise with your neighboring empires, and you may have a lot more land, but that means someone's going to want your land, and they're going to invade you, and they're going to take it. So that's one thing I also advise against. Also, you will run out of starbase capacity to guard everything, and you'll have wormholes in the middle of your empire, and fallen empires come in and take it and create border gore. And yes, I'm directly referencing my live stream from the other day, where a fallen empire just flew in from across the galaxy through a wormhole, middle of my space, and just ran roughshod everywhere, taking stuff and creating, even worse than destroying my empire, was border gore. So don't expand too fast. Basically, what I would say is, with your construction ship or construction ships, depending on how aggressively you're going, you want to claim a system and then build all the mining stations and research stations before you even think about going to the next one. Exceptions are you don't want enclaves or exclaves where pirates can spawn in the middle of your borders. You can kind of see some expansion going. I'm not sure which part of this gameplay. I'm just taking some footage from episode 1 of my Rome Let's Play to go behind this. So basic rule of thumb is, if you're expanding faster than your influence can keep up with, you are expanding too quickly. I would recommend just taking it slow, building all the all the mining and research stations that you can before expanding. The only exception being is if, kind of like in this Rome Let's Play, episode 3 goes live today, so I'm sure you've seen this episode in front of you and episode 2 by now. If not, be sure to check those out if you want a better idea of what I'm talking about. But if the only time I would rush some star bases is if there's an opponent nearby and you need to get choke points or access to the outside world. But other than that, take it easy. Make sure you don't neglect planets. Don't neglect your research. You want to take, you want to take it slow. And also, kind of going along with this is, there's always a debate in strategy games of going wide versus going tall. Going tall is very viable for this very reason. If, like in this Rome Let's Play, I'm kind of stuck in this area where I am, barely have enough planets to fulfill all of my core to fill up my core sector system capacity. And I tech up like a madman, not like the best I've ever seen, but I tech up pretty quickly. So, drug that one out a lot. But number one, don't expand too fast. This is more about star bases than it is about planets. You want to keep your planets, you want to expand planets quickly because, again, generate that unity and research to counteract the increased pressure in star bases. So number two is to specialize your star bases. I guess star bases are, I'm still fuzzy in the terminology, but there's like the star bases that, what's it called? That claim a system, and then you can upgrade them, and then you can add modules. I think the options are defense platforms, and they have different types, guns, missiles, and hangars. You can add trading hubs. You can have shipyards. You can also have anchorages. So some of them, for those of you who don't know what they are, the defense platforms, of course, make your star base more defensible. The anchorages add fleet capacity. It's no longer as based on planets and population. Still is to some extent, but you get you get a big boost of fleet capacity from star bases. Shipyards build ships. Anchorages support them. That's the fleet capacity. And trading hubs, they must be built in systems with either one of your planets or an enclave, and they provide energy. And so there's 6 slots for those, and then there's also at maximum, and then there's also 4 slots for specialty buildings, which those are important too. They do anything from make your anchorages or trading hubs work better. The Fleet Academy from spaceports are now, and that's so they buff your ships built at that starbase. Later on in the game, if you have Apocalypse, you can get Titan and Colossus construction yards in those 4 slots. You can get a research silo, which basically replaces mineral silos, so it increases your maximum energy, or mineral and energy. I guess energy was the one you couldn't, build. You could build mineral silos in pre 2.0 Cherryh, but they took those away, and now those are star bases. Also, some more unique ones are there's one that increases the off-world trading company, which increases the energy produced by your trading hubs in the top 6 slots. There is a curator think tank, which you make a deal with the science curators, and it helps with that. There's a nebula refinery, so if it's in a nebula, it produces some minerals. There's a bunch of different buildings, and what I want to tell you is the best practices are to specialize your star bases. So, for example, on top of, I'll kind of go into this later. It's a future point, but you want to. So for fortifications, you want to do all fortifications. They have some of the you want to build all missile, gun battery, or hangar slots. You want to build probably the listening posts, especially if they're on your border. Those extend your sensor range, as well as one increases your weapon range, and another one allows you to build 8 more defense platforms. So for the defense ones, you want to go all defense. For the trading companies, you want to do all trading hubs, because the building, you use one of those 4 slots to buff the production of all those trading hubs, and you get the most bang for your buck by having, this starbase is all trading hubs. This starbase is all anchorages. And my favorite, this starbase is all spaceports. Building 6 ships in parallel in 1 star system. You can reinforce your ships in a hurry. I like doing that. One weird thing about that is if you assign, so say you have a super shipyard, like I always name them Fondor or Kuat or Sinar, something from Star Wars, and you have all 6 of your modules as starports, but then you assign your ship to one halfway across your empire. Well, if they upgrade, they have to be at one that has a shipyard, I guess is the name. I might be saying the wrong things. Forgive me. I've only had this game for less than early access was only for less than a week, only a handful of days. So y'all aren't too far behind me. Maybe even more so if you paid more attention than I did. But so they have to go all the way back to the shipyards to upgrade, which isn't good. And you might think, oh, let's put a shipyard, just one, and then like all anchorages in a forward base where I have them based. Well, in that case, whenever you want to reinforce it, it'll only use the one shipyard at its home base and not like the super assembly line that you've built. So that's just one thing that we're all gonna have to learn how to manage. So point number 2, specialized star bases. A scenario that is particularly good is a curator in a black hole. There's a black hole specialty building, one of the 4 slots. They have specific names and they just escape me right now. It gives you 10 physics research, so that's really good. So yeah, make sure you specialize your star bases. And so that brings us to point number 3, which is kind of related. You want to fortify all your borders and all your wormholes. Gateways, I think the devs said that gateways, only you can use friendly gateways. Whereas a wormhole, if there's an enemy on the other side of that wormhole, they can just come on through and they'll be in the middle of your empire and all your fortifications and the borders will be for nothing. You want to expand carefully, so where you want to establish choke points. So usually, like if I like playing on spiral galaxies, usually you'll have a situation, you should be able to find a situation where there are 2 star systems into your space on each border, no more, maybe 3. And so you want to make those bastions is the name. It names the star base based on the most prevalent module you have. You want to max out your defensive slots and also build a lot of defense platforms. So again, with curators, you want to do trading companies. In your home system, that's where I like to put my shipyard. But in systems where with your plants, you want to put either anchorages or trading hubs. So again, but the main point of this one is fortify your borders and fortify your wormholes. And I guess if you have extra starbase capacity and you're not hurting on energy and fleet capacity, which by the way, I think the devs did say fleet capacity is now capped at 1,000, so you can't have naval capacity, that is. So, you can only need so many anchorages. But if you want to fortify, say, a system with your sentry array, by all means, go ahead and do that. But you need, I think most people are going to figure out fortify your borders, but fortify wormholes, they're catchy. And also, watch your expanding borders, because in my USA Let's Play before the embargo was lifted and before I could stream, I was at war with these people and I was at war with the neighboring empire and my borders were fortified. I'm like, oh, you can't get to me. And they had a wormhole on their other side and that was fortified too. Well, they went like to an outer ring of the galaxy through unexplored space and took them like, war exhaustion is probably 30-40% by the time they got there, just from the time the war had gone on. And they came in from a side of my empire I was expanding at towards an unclaimed part of the galaxy and wreaked havoc. So just keep tabs on all your borders, because I guess one thing I don't have on this list, but I should, is it takes longer to get everywhere. Since you're not just jumping from edge of system to edge of system, your sublight thrusters matter more, and your FTL matters more, so it takes longer to get places. So make sure you're like prepared, and that also is kind of why you don't want to expand too fast. You don't want everything to be too far apart where you can't defend everything. So that's it for fortify all borders. Next up is kind of along these lines. Energy is more important. Keep in mind, influence. You no longer use influence to hire leaders. You use energy for that. You can use energy for a couple of different edicts, and also you can build defense platforms. So one thing that was kind of unclear and now kind of makes more sense is you can build defense platforms at every upgraded starbase, but only the bastions. So the bastions, the starbases have extra gun slots on them, but like for a shipyard, you can still surround a shipyard with defense platforms. It's just they won't get the extra boost, or they won't get the extra firepower from the Starbase itself being dedicated to defense. So, but building all these defense platforms drains a lot of energy. So energy is a lot more important. Dyson spheres are a lot more attractive. Energy habitats, especially because you can get habitats a lot earlier now. All you need is, I think, the second to last Starbase update. The largest one is, I think, Star Fortress is what it's called. Citadel is when you have all six modules and all 4 specialty slots. Star Fortress is all 6 modules and only 3 specialty slots. So, kind of beating around the bush there. But energy is super important, especially if you're going to fortify the borders, especially if you're constantly getting attacked, to support all those defense platforms. Defenses are important because, I mean, you have the Starbase and might as well use them, and also maintain your fleet. So energy, I mean, it's not like pre 2.0 where you would just have massive energy and you just go to your curator and, you know, get as much minerals for the energy. You need it to pay the maintenance for all your defense platforms and everything. I mean, I guess energy's always been important, but in Cherryh and Apocalypse, it seems more so because of how you can fortify your borders and all that sort of thing. And the last thing is pay attention to what stars are and galactic terrain. This is number 5. So, like I said, nebula. If you have a star base in a nebula, you can get minerals from like refining the nebula dust. But each system has different effects on it. Black holes affect your speed. Neutron stars and pulsars, they mess with your sensor range. They disable one type, I forgot what it was, completely disables your shield. So keep in mind what's going on there. It's like, say you have a star fortress, say you have a bastion in a system where the star disables everyone's shields. Make sure you put some, you know, probably plasma weapons. Make sure you put anti-armor and hull weapons, because their shields aren't going to work anyway. So just kind of pay attention to that. You have to kind of go into each system and look at an icon. It's not as obvious. You kind of have to look out for it. But definitely pay attention to that. You know, check on it whenever you decide to build a fortress, if it's a special type of stellar body, and you can take advantage of that. So those are 5 tips that I have to help you succeed in Cherryh and Apocalypse. I'm going to do more detailed tutorials and guides as I learn these things myself, but these are just things I noticed from playing 2 relatively similar but also very different approaches to the new update. I hope this helps you. I know this one ran about as long as a full episode, but just to go over everything again, don't expand too fast, number 1. 2, specialize your star bases. 3, fortify all your borders, wormholes, and gateways. 4, energy is more important than ever. And 5, pay attention to star types, galactic terrains, and the modifiers they confirm. Hope this helps you. Enjoy the Apocalypse. That sounds terrible. Enjoy Cherryh and enjoy the Apocalypse. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, consider subscribing to the channel, as well as following me on Twitter and checking out my Patreon page. Thank you all so much for watching, and until the next time, this is Mikey Panzernator signing out. See ya, nerds!